So today we are going to do a small business banking comparison between Novo Bank, Relay Bank, and Blue Vine Bank. Now, what I also want to do as we go through this is actually show you that I've been kind of messing around with all of these different banks in some way or another. So for example, here is a Relay account that I've been utilizing for a little bit. This is actually the most recent one with Blue Vine. And then the one I've been using for the longest time, which is my Novo business bank account. I've been using all of these in different capacities and in different ways. And I want to kind of go over some of the features, the pros, and the best qualities that each one also have to be able to run for your small business and which one might be the best fit for you. Now, as we go through this, if you like any one of these companies, you can go ahead and check out the links in the show notes down below. Those links do help support us out, but they also get you some really nice exclusive bonuses going through our links. Now, as we go through this as well, I will also have reference points for you in the show notes too, where you can actually dive in deeper with each of these companies exclusively so you can actually learn more. So not just talking about these reviews, but actually having utilized them and have tutorials for you. So that way, if you are interested in either signing up or seeing how the backend works, we got those also in the show notes for you too. So we'll have videos as well as links so you can get everything you need when it comes to making a decision for which bank is going to be best for you. Now, Novo Bank is the first one we're going to kind of talk a little bit more about here. But before we actually do that, I want to talk about some of the commonalities between all of these, because realistically, no matter which one you go with, I think you're going to land with a solid bank account, because all of these are going to have no monthly fees for the base version of the accounts. And I'll talk about that a little bit more with some of the other banks that have different tiers. But as far as the baseline goes, all of them are essentially a free small business bank account to help you save money, which is great. The other thing is there are no minimum balances required. So with small businesses like myself too, sometimes I want to use up as much money as I can. And like this, for example, we have $372 in this account. So there are no fees for having such a low balance at this moment. So for us, that's always a nice thing. So we don't have to keep in mind how much we need to have in the account at any given time. Otherwise, we are charged fees like some other business banks do. Now, as far as transactions, there are essentially unlimited transactions with all of these companies as well too. So there are no, stipulations where after a certain amount, you are charged a certain fee for utilizing your debit card or ACH, which can happen with other big banks. Now, all three companies also have a mobile version, and I actually have multiple businesses under the Novo Business Bank, which is actually this one here on my app. So they all have an app available for you, so you can pretty much work on the go or check out your account in real time, not always needing to be on a desktop. And honestly, all of them have really great functionalities on the mobile version, just as they do on the desktop versions. Now, all of them are going to be FDIC insured with that $250,000, and some of them are going to have a little bit more, and we're going to talk about those when we get to that, as well as integrated tools. Each of them are going to have different types of tools that can integrate, whether it's with QuickBooks or some payroll software. A lot of these are going to have different ways to integrate. Now, all of them are also going to include a free debit card, of course, some of them even more than that. You also have the ability for mobile check deposits as well as ACH transfers, whether it's for yourself or to other businesses as well, to help you save on costs. Now let's go ahead and get started with talking about Novo. That's the one here on screen, just to kind of show you it. I use this one for two of my businesses. You saw the one here on the desktop and also one on mobile. One of the biggest things is they have free unlimited invoicing. So if you want to invoice people, you can go ahead and keep doing that over and over with no limitations. It's always free for you. And I love the way that their invoicing works overall and how it's easily integrated into the actual software. Whether you're on desktop or on mobile, it's very simple and easy to use. Now, a big feature that Novo has is actually right over here, which is their Novo Funding. And this is a really cool feature for a lot of beginner small business owners, where getting credit is kind of difficult at the very beginning stages. And once you kind of have your account up and running for a little while, I believe it took at least 6 months, I would say, to have this available for me. But once we did, this actually started to show up for us to be able to borrow money if we wanted to. I did a little case study over here you can see in my recent activities, but we have access to over $21,400 if we needed to for our business if we wanted to do any type of investment. And it's quick and easy access to this funding, which is not very common for a lot of other businesses. It's not like a credit card. It's pretty much just there for us when we need it. And then we start paying any fees once we are borrowing. Otherwise, it's just there for us to utilize. Now, when it comes to Novo and one other of the companies that we're going to talk about today, is they do have not just their debit card that you get for free, but you also can do a virtual card, which is really great and came in good hands for me one time when one of my cards got utilized without my permission. So I had to switch out my card, and then I can switch over to using my virtual card until my next physical card arrived. And what's really nice about this is it makes it a lot easier for me to be able to toggle things on and off when it came to utilizing my virtual card. Now, I currently don't have access to it yet, but I do know that Novo is rolling out a credit card as well. So outside of just the Novo funding that we just talked about earlier, if you are somebody who's wanting to get a credit card for your small business and build out that small business credit, they will eventually have that available, I believe, to everybody in the near future. So you can actually go ahead and apply for that and have it for your business, and it'll be under your cards. And if I'm not mistaken, that should also have the availability of creating virtual cards for those as well. Now, Novo has something called Reserves, which this is essentially kind of like a savings account of sorts where you can actually have money set aside and earmarked for certain things, whether it's big purchases or taxes or anything else you might need in the future. The only downside to this is that there is no interest accruing for that money sitting in there. Same thing with any money sitting in the checking account. There is no interest accruing on that either. All right, so let's hop over to Relay. Now, I did actually log into my other Relay account, which is a base version with nothing added to it because I don't want to keep blurring out so many items on my actual accounts. So this one right over here, I just wanted to quickly show you some of the really great benefits of Relay. Not only are the things that we mentioned earlier that all 3 bank accounts have, but something that Relay does that is a little bit different is allows you to actually have multiple different types of accounts, whether it's multiple checking accounts that you want or savings accounts, which actually can earn you an APY, unlike the other accounts that we talked about earlier with Novo. Now, what this is really nice is if you are saving for taxes or big expenses or, big purchases, you can actually at least earn some money on your money sitting there for your small business. You can see here, you can earn up to 1% APY for our account that we have, but there are different tiers and different levels that you can actually go up to depending on how much you have in your account. Now, as far as the checking account, like I said, you can actually open up multiple checking accounts. And the reason this is advantageous is if you want to use the profit first method, which is actually one of the ways we use for the other account that I didn't want to go in here to blur out all the numbers so many times, is that if you have multiple checking accounts, it's really great to do what they call the profit first, where you might have different checking accounts for different types of expenses, whether it's operations, whether it's taxes, whether it's payroll, whether it's just withdrawals from your own company. You can actually set them up in multiple accounts, and there are no additional fees for that. There are no minimums for those, just like we talked about earlier. So it's really great if you want to kind of spread things out a little bit more clearly, so not everything is kind of bunched up into one total dollar amount. You can actually see things a little bit more clearly with this method. Now, of course, you don't actually have to do that. You can just keep the one checking account and the one savings if you wanted to, or even just one checking account and keep everything in one altogether. Now we're going to swap over here to our cards tab as well. And this is also one of my favorite features of the Relay. Again, this is just our kind of demo account, but we also have another account that we use Relay for, and having the virtual cards is incredible. Unlike the previous company we just talked about with Novo, where you can have one virtual card, on here, you can actually have up to 50 virtual cards. And this is so impactful if you have multiple team members. And what's really great about this is not only can you place the primary card holder, you can actually set up their daily limits. So you can see here, like on the right-hand side, the maximum spending that you can have. You can set up what account these actually pull from, so it's not pulling from all random accounts. So if you have like an operations account, if you have like a taxable account, depending on who needs what access to, you can set that all up back here on the back end with all these virtual cards. You can pause the cards as well if you needed to. You could delete them. You can re-add them. It's so easy and simple to go ahead and utilize. It's honestly the greatest feature I think there is when it comes to a small business that maybe needs to hand out the debit card, but it's really difficult when it's one card constantly being tossed around back and forth between different users. And as far as the cards go, I was talking mainly on the virtual side of things. But you could actually do the physical debit cards as well. So it's not only virtual, you could also do the physical. So your different employees can have different physical cards. And speaking of employees, another really great feature with Relay is that if you have different employees that you need to have access to the bank account for any different reasons, whether they're accounting, whether they need to like set up a straight budget when it comes to how much is in their typical checking accounts. So you can set up team members to have a different permission access to your accounts. Maybe they could just see the account. Maybe they have access to just one of the checking accounts. Maybe they have access to just pay people in the payee section, which is also really great. So you have a lot of control to give different access points to different people and at different levels as well. So it's really great. It's really nice when you have multiple team members that you need to give access to all at once. Now, another thing with the Relay bank account is actually the fact that they have what they call an enhanced FDIC insurance, which is instead of just going to the $250,000 like the other companies can do, this one actually goes up to a $3 million million total. So you have a lot more protection if you have more money sitting in your account, which is always really nice and helps you go through the process of choosing which account might work best for you. All right, so next up here is going to be with our Bluevine account. Again, I just went into a second account that I created just so I can do tutorials and things without having to blur out too many pieces of information here. And with Bluevine, this one is going to have, I would say, some really great features as well, just in comparison to the rest. We talked about all the basics that all of them have. This one does also have the ability to open up multiple accounts. So you can have your main checking account, and then you can have, I believe, up to 4 other sub accounts, whether it's for taxes, payroll, expenses, like all the other things we talked about with Relay. This one also has similar things, but are a little bit more limited with 5 versus Relay that can do up to 20. Now with Bluevine, I would say one of their biggest features here is once you have your account up and running for a little bit, they do have a business loan section. You can see right over here, we just went into it. And once you kind of have that information kind of gathering inside of your account, you can come in here and start applying for different loans, where the Novo account was directly from Novo themselves, but Bluevine does have it connected with other places to actually get a business loan. So for that, it does make it a little bit easier to have all your information in your bank account to then go ahead and apply. And what's really nice is for things like the line of credit, it will give you all the information that you might need to know when it comes to applying for any type of loan, so that you can be prepared ahead of time, such as the criteria, and then going through the process and getting started all directly inside of your bank account. So you can go through and get some type of line of credit if needed. And then if you didn't want to go through that, there are other options as well. Sometimes these will change up on any given time. So if you needed to go through the process with something like Lantern here, it'll have that directly again inside of the app for you. Now they do also have a payment feature where if you do want to get paid through a special link, you can go ahead and set those things up. Now Bluevine also has a customer list that you can go ahead and build out. You can build out their names and their email address, as well as some information for them. So if you ever need to send out a payment link in the future, again, you can go directly through them, and it's really fast and easy to go ahead and go through that process. Now, if you did want a little bit of a cleaner look when it comes to invoices, they do have its own section here for invoices. The link itself was more of a quick kind of purchasing, where if somebody does want like a full invoice with details and information and an invoice number, you can go through the process and create invoices right over here. And then again, you can have that sent out. It's a PDF as well, so it's really nice and clean if you want to have it that look. Or you can again go with the link that I showed you just earlier to make that a quick purchase type if that's what you're looking for. All right, so I actually wanted to hop over to the front page to just show you a little bit about this APY, which is really great. So on the base version of Bluevine, you can actually earn 1.5% APY up to $250,000, which is fantastic. And as far as getting to earn that, there's only a couple different types of stipulations, which is how much you're spending in a month or how much is actually getting added to your account on a monthly basis. So it's pretty simple and easy to utilize as far as getting that APY. But honestly, for having money in your checking account and earning an APY, this is pretty awesome. And not many other banks do this just as a savings account type, but just even so much so as a checking account. So if you actually want to earn money on your money sitting in your business checking account, Bluevine is going to be one of the very few that actually offer that. And you can see here, there are no monthly fees to be able to do so. And if you decide to go with the tiered system of Bluevine, which I'll show you here in just a second, you can actually go from 2.7 all the way to 3.7, just depending on the tier and how much you have in your account and hitting those different types of stipulations. So everything that we're talking about today with Bluevine, as well as things we're still going to talk about with Bluevine, are all going to be in the standard plan here for you, which is $0 a month. But they do have a plus and a premier version as well that are $30 and $95, or you can have those waived depending on some stipulations there. But it just adds additional things on top of what we talked about, such as the 5 sub accounts going all the way to 10 and even 20 sub accounts, which is just going to give you more and more options. Same thing with those APYs that we talked about earlier. You can go anywhere from 1.5 all the way to 3.7% APY. So another great feature that Bluevine actually does have too is an ACH debit block. So if you see a transaction coming in that maybe you did not authorize, you can actually block it before it fully goes through, which is a really great feature, especially for the free version of the account, to be able to have access to something like that to stop transactions from happening when you did not authorize them. Now, I mentioned earlier, if you want to go ahead and check out any of these companies, I'll have the links for them in the show notes down below, plus any of the nice sign-up bonuses that they offer exclusively with our links in the show notes. Now, down there as well, you will also see links to full tutorial videos that will take you step-by-step on utilizing some of these bank accounts so you can understand them a little bit better when it comes to using them for your small business. Now, there is more to show you when it comes to utilizing these small business bank accounts for your business, so check out our video right over here on screen to keep on learning.